Well, thousands of students are storming the streets in London. Take a look at these live pictures right now. They say that they have had it with tuition hikes. So once again, you can see they've taken to the streets. And if this is anything like the last round of protests, well, police are now bracing for the worst. Atika Shubert is there in London. So Atika, these protesters are actually working their way toward the heart of the Occupy movement, right?
That's right. In fact, several people from the Occupy movement have now gone to join that protest. We're actually on a street where those students are going to be coming down. And as you can see behind me, quite a lot of police. In fact, there's a very heavy police presence today. Police say they don't want to be caught off guard. So they put about 4,000 cops on the street today. And you might be able to see behind me as well that they've boarded up a lot of the offices around here already to try and prevent anybody from smashing in. Banks in particular, as you can imagine, are very concerned. And police say that if it gets that bad, if it gets violent and disorderly, they do also have the authority to use rubber bullets if necessary. Remember, just about a year ago, it did get very bad. Thousands of students flooded in to the Conservative Party headquarters and managed to smash their way in through there. And police do not want to see a repeat of that today.
All right, Atika, we will definitely follow these protests, these live pictures. And if it is anything like the last time this happened, you and I talked, it got a bit violent, and we're hoping it's going to remain peaceful, which it looks like it is at this moment. Atika, thanks so much. Well, thousands of students storming the streets in London. They say that they've had it with tuition hikes. So once again, they've taken to the streets. And if this is anything like the last round of protests, police are definitely bracing for the worst. Atika Shubert is there in London for us. So Atika, we talked last time these protests were taking place. We saw how violent they become. Now they are moving their way or working their way toward the heart of the Occupy movement. Have they reached this other group of protesters yet?
That's right. This is the heart of the financial industry. As you can see, the bulk of the protesters already arriving here, moving behind me, largely without incident. It has been peaceful so far. One or two minor scuffles. We just saw someone briefly try and break the barricade here, but really, for the most part, very peaceful. It's an interesting scene because I'm actually right in front of the London Stock Exchange, and a number of financial sector workers are actually in these glass-fronted offices looking down on the protest here. We've seen a few protesters making some rude gestures, but otherwise, other than that, really seems to be fairly well organized, making their point with the messages. You can see education, not business, stop the cuts. This protest is ostensibly about against government cuts, about stopping the tripling of education fees, but it's also about solidarity with the Occupy movement, generally an expression of that widespread public anger with how the economic crisis is being handled.
Atika Shubert will follow the live protest for sure. Appreciate it.
In Britain's capital, angry college students were in the streets today to protest education cuts and higher fees.
Tory! Scum! Tory! Scum! Tory, Tory, Tory! Scum, scum, scum!
In some cases, fees are 3 times higher than they've been. As the students rallied, thousands of police were on hand just in case things got out of hand. CNN's Atika Shubert reports from London.
Well, this was one of the potential flashpoints that police were concerned about because this is right in the heart of the financial center for London. But as you can see, protesters passed by without incident, about 4,000 or so student demonstrators in all. Police didn't want to take any chances, though, so they put about 4,000 police on the street. And this is one reason why they didn't want to take any chances. Right here is the London Stock Exchange. And of course, this was the target for those protesters a few weeks ago that were part of the Occupy London Stock Exchange movement. They've actually camped out now in front of St. Paul's Cathedral, but there was some concern about the protest today, whether they would join up with those protesters, whether there could be the potential for some disorder there. Police, as I said, didn't want to take any chances and really made sure to put out these extra barricades, made sure to get out the riot police, and it even said at one point that if necessary, they would use plastic bullets. Clearly, however, the protest has gone peacefully and there has been no need for that. Atika Shubert, CNN, London.